And welcome everyone to another episode of Channeling with Starseed Lø Lø. I'm your questionnaire extraordinaire, Michael, and I will hand it off to the amazing host who's bringing in the guests with her. So, Starseed, who do we have today?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Michael, as always. And you are amazing as well. And you're channeling as well because nothing is scripted. The grays want to come through, but it seems like, sometimes it gets hijacked by other collectives that want to butt in. So I'm ready if you are.
Well, we'll let the Grays go for it, and whoever comes in is welcome as well. Just ask that it be done respectfully.
Got it. All right. Let me set up a quick sound healing here, very short, and make the screen a lot lighter. Or darker, rather. Okay, much better. Okay. The higher self is showing itself as the grays today. Greetings. It is all love and light in war, peace. Any time that you recognize as a time of struggles and needs. The times of struggles are part of the human experience and part of any experience, honestly. The Earth is not a prison planet, such as said by many in the spiritual community. Do you have any questions for us, Mr. Michael?
I'm trying to think of a question real quick, but I like how you said it's not a prison planet because I refer to it more as a school planet.
It is a school planet. It is an advanced educational experience. Some humans think that this is the worst version of Gaia Earth. It is not the worst version. There are a must or a need for other versions based on your intrinsic vibration from inside to outside. And believe us, we have seen the other versions and do not interact with them much other than watching, because they truly are more like a slave race.
I remember when we talked with you before that, you have foregone emotions, and I was curious when I went back and was thinking about it. What have you noticed are benefits to letting go of emotions, and what are some things that you gave up because you no longer have emotions. And I'm speaking beyond the ability to reproduce as well, as we mentioned before.
Benefit is no violence, no war, no thoughts of physical or sexually driven violent needs, nothing where any beings, as you say, quote unquote, get hurt purposely. No war, no famine, no physical fights, just peace. However, on the flip side, other than the act of not being able to procreate, we do not have the same closeness with the emotional, sexual, physical, mind, body, spirit connection experience that a human and other beings, non-human as well, including your animalis kingdom, Latin for animal, have. However, all of us are versions of you, and all of you are versions of us. We have technology to experience a human container body, as you call it. Your body consciousness is not within, everything is within. Therefore, we are able to shift that perspective and utilize organic and non-organic containers to have a human or even other non-human perspective experience. When we do this, we know that it is temporary, and in this form, because we are all shapeshifters, however, we are using technologies to expedite a transference other than going to the other side, as you say. We are already on the other side. Infinite beings are on the other side, including yourself, which is why roughly 2% of your essence is having this experience. However, we do like to shapeshift with technologies and are able to, quote unquote, feel using these.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
I am curious, as we have talked with other beings, and if you have a place where you call home and there is structure to it, what does that look like? Is it a crystalline type city structure, or is it a plasma based energy system?
We have an infinite amount of realities and access to an infinite amount. Most tend to gravitate toward what you call a crystal city with free energy if they choose to have a temporary experience in a body container. There are others who gravitate toward places such as inner earth, underground, in the oceans, and multiple dimensions to pick from. Therefore, we can, as you say, quantum leap to any. It is as if you are in a dream, because you are. However, it is during your dream time that you are really close to being in the astral experience. With us, we are lucid all of the time. Therefore, we have infinite amount of choices, and it takes us thousands of years to experience different ones. Therefore, if there's a specific one that you would like to know more about, please ask us, and we will check with the collective if there's anyone who has been there.
Not that I can think of in this moment, but I am curious, as you mentioned, being in the oceans. What methods do you use for all this time to keep yourselves hidden from all the technologies and all the vehicles as such that we have now in the oceans, from finding where you're at?
Most of the time, as we have mentioned before, We use cloaking devices, technologies which we cannot go into details about. However, what they do are cloak us from very, 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 very old school, old tech of yours, such as radar, which echolocates and bounces off a physical object. While we cloak ourselves, we are in essence invisible and therefore temporarily not in the physical. Therefore, we are not located unless we want to be.
And my next question to follow up with that is, we have an understanding of gates and portals being on the surface of the Earth realm or in space or inner Earth. Are there portals that you use underwater? And how do those remain inactive or get activated?
Via our technology, via the will of ourselves as beings, just as yourselves. Humans do have access to these portals. There are multiple portals. You are shifting as a portal, as living, shape-shifting crystals. We have spoken about these portals before, underground and above ground, what you call Gaia, which we call Gaia 2.0 as a nickname, one of many nicknames. And for the new people who are listening, who are meant to listen, you are a time crystal. Bashar Channels, it speaks about that. We call it a portal crystal because you are literally a walking portal. The body is in you as consciousness, not the other way around. And that is not seen as believing, it is believing it is seen because you create your reality experience in this matrix.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
I know as we talked with some beings that there are particular race beings that they don't get along with, that we would consider here on the earth plane like adversaries, or we just, would be like, yep, you can do whatever you want to them because we don't like them. Is there such a thing with the Greys where there are group of beings out there that are here or maybe not here anymore that the Greys just did not get along with and were like so excited to see leave?
Who was so excited to see them leave?
I just mean the Greys, that you were like, oh, we can now live here, more peacefully because they're gone.
On Gaia?
On Gaia or wherever you are.
If you're referring to the Orion Wars, yes, the Orion Wars are a conglomerate of wars which have happened with multiple races. Most of the popular ones that are known are, as you say, reptilians or reptoids, various versions of tall grays, tall whites, short grays. There are an infinite amount of species, including humans. Humans sometimes forget that there are an infinite amount of options because Source creates creation. Energy, potential energy is unlimited. Therefore, most times when you're speaking to a gray collective, such as this time that feels different, you're more than likely speaking to a different gray collective than the last 10 times and so on. If it is the same gray collective as another time, generally they will identify themselves as such. This time we are a different collective. We have gone off on a tangent. What was the other part of your question?
The other part was if there was, and I think you kind of hit on it a little bit, was specific, like we would call culture or a group of beings that were here that you always felt uneasy with, or we're like, we really wish you were gone because you are, the energy is not good with you here. In other words, it's the energy is much higher now that they're gone. So you're happier being here. If that, and putting it in earth terms.
That's a roundabout way of saying that somebody or something sucks. What sucks to us are the nuclear energies that are expended on your planet, which is why we stop most of the nukes, because it does change the fabrics of space and time in multiple dimensions, unfathomable dimensions, which is why we stop them. It is like a 2-year-old spinning a shotgun around, or as you say, a monkey with nukes. Therefore, we do stop them only because they can and do and will affect the fabrics of the universe in unlimited amounts, because the universe is unlimited in itself. Other than that, humans have free reign and free will.
Thank you for that. And going back to the multi-dimensions, you were asking if there was one I had in mind. I've been thinking about it, and one pops into my head, and that is if it's possible, I don't know, version of, for example, Titanic not sinking, therefore, like the cabal not creating the system of control they have today, because the forces that were going to vote against it didn't die on the Titanic. Is there a dimension like that out there, and how different is their world versus our world?
They have free energy on roughly 50 years circa in advance. However, there are unlimited realities. Your soul fractal chose this reality and built and rebuilds this same reality. What appears to be the same, it's actually different every plank second to nanosecond, which cannot even be measured because it shifts so quickly. Bashar said that physical contact will be here in 2027, initially 2026 to 2027. It depends on if you would like to shift to this reality. Physical contact is already here for some individuals and groups, not just CE5. Anyone who has had a quote-unquote dream about grays or other experiences because they're part of hybrid program or not is a quote-unquote physical experience. If you sleepwalk, if you wake up in another position in your bed, if you wake up on the floor, if you wake up upside down in your bed, head not right side up, normally you have had an experience. Physical disclosure is already here, therefore, however, we know that this means in the masses, if you select that reality, you will have it. And yes, to answer your question, yes, there is that reality, which we have already alluded to, because there are unlimited amounts of realities.
And thank you for that.
Welcome.
You mentioned CE5s, and I've often thought to myself, shining a laser into the sky to say hello, here we are, is that absolutely necessary? And does that actually help you find people, or do you find it more distracting that all of a sudden you're going by and there's a laser now being shined up at you?
You were going out a little bit. We just heard the part, does the CE5 laser absolutely necessary? No, it's not, because it's your consciousness projecting, and really there is no outside, it's all inside. Therefore, all you need to do is ask. You need to even move your mouth to ask. You use the universal languages, which is math, and or telepathy, which is also using frequencies, which is also using math. Therefore, no, it's not necessary not necessarily needed to be in a group with multiple people, although there is a strength in numbers. There is something to that, to be sitting in Sedona in a vortex and mass numbers and whatnot. However, it's not necessary because you already have a connection, because you are the connection. You are the matrix. You are and the creator of your reality as a portal. Therefore, if you would like to have the experience and it's relevant in this version, divine timing in your life, you have had and you will have the experiences and continue to have them.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have anything you want to share to Starseed, Lolo, or myself that you want to make sure we hear?
Mostly keep on going. We know there are some days, because yes, we are telepathic. We know there are some days which you ask yourself, self, why the hell am I doing this? Why am I turning on a camera? There's 5 people who watch. There's maybe 10. This is not true. Energetically, there are millions who listen, whether it's your thoughts, a podcast, your words, your feelings, they do matter. They echo in the ether of what you call space and time in perpetuity. Therefore, we would like you to know the gravity of your imprint.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
One thing that I have noticed in the Earth realm version of myself is I have let go of the notion of immortality, because I started to think and view it as being forever in this human form or shell, because cannot transition on, so would always be here. Is that a truth, or is that a misinformation that I tell myself?
That you'll always be here in this body?
That if I was to become immortal in this form, that I would spend the rest of time in this form and not be able to transition on and return to, say, my galactic home, because I'm forever in this form by an agreement I made.
We're not sure where that notion came from. Immortality is the essence, the chi, the prana, the ka, what have you, the soul fractal. It really has nothing or little to do with the body container itself. That is what you call a blip of time in a film strip. The true essence of yourself is a light body, not a real body. You already are eternal. You are not going to become eternal, because you cannot become something which you already are in an everlasting present moment. You are a shapeshifter, multidimensional being, source energy being, which means it is a temporary experience as this version of yourself in this body. Very, very temporary blip in universal infinite time. Like a blink of an eye, nanosecond. And when this version, very small fractal of yourself, very small drop of a 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 drop of your essence is done, it will naturally move on to a different perspective, which is not linear, it is holographic. Instead of being in the holographic circle at this point, you're going to be at that point. Does that make sense?
It does. So thank you for that.
Welcome.
I do have a question for you as a collective, in that we are in what is known as summer. So we as humans in our form usually tend to go on vacations this time of year to go see other places or other experiences. Do you as a collective ever go on a quote what we would call vacation? And what would that look like or be like if you could share that?
For those who have bodies, they hook up to something that is like the total recall machine when they go to sleep. And they could choose to go into cryo sleep, what you call, although we call it something else, more like a holographic long-term sleep for years, decades. And if they would like to wake up in this body again, then they do. That is really where most of us, quote unquote, go when we redirect our consciousness, or we choose to leave that body, or we go on what you call a vacation for a short time span with groups as well.
So thank you.
Okay.
If you have been around watching us for a large amount of time, which I'm sure you have, is there a time frame where you like to go and revisit that we experienced here in this world?
2009 was a good year. Booming technology just after the 2008, what you call YouTube, because it has created a net of worldwide enthusiasm for spirituality, what you call readers, enthusiasts, spiritualists, metaphysics, spread beyond the globes, furthest reaches of the globes, in the forest of the Amazon and the Sahara, to Russia, to Asia, to over 330 plus countries. Therefore, we have loved to jump to this time. We have also jumped to what you call the future. However, we do not make predictions, because in every moment to moment to moment to moment is a portal. You decide how this goes based on your frequency.
Yes, I agree, and thank you for that.
Okay.
With our world becoming more aware and raising our frequencies and learning new ways and new processes to keep our frequencies raised, in conjunction with the solar weather as well affecting our world, what can we do that will benefit your collective as well as we keep doing what we're doing?
We're not saying this applies to you personally. However, stop complaining and start doing. If there is a change you would like to see in the world, be that change, because it is your world, your version of it, your portal from within to without. You change your vibration and beliefs from within. The outer world has no choice but to adjust from without, what it appears to be without, because there is no without. However, the experience of it is true. It is like looking in the mirror and expecting a smile to be on your face in the mirror reflecting back when you don't have a smile. You need to change the internal smile. Then what appears to be the external in the mirror will smile back.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
We are, unfortunately, in our terms, at time. And so thank you for coming and sharing what you shared with us. And if you have no other messages that you feel you need to share with us, would you mind bringing Starseed Lø Lø back?
Don't mind at all. Unconditional love to you, brothers and sisters.
Thank you. And to you as well.
Wow. That was interesting.
How are you feeling?
Very relaxed. This was a different set of gray collective, very like even keel and like calm.
I have to agree. I am feeling extremely, like, I would almost say kind of like you, even keeled, to where I'm like in a place of serenity, and it's like kind of nice.
Yeah. And I'm just cruising in the comments a little bit. Hello, Mahir Rochelle. I believe that's Anchor Haven's other account. Sky Silokala 457. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This transmission is timeless, and I look forward to see what they have next time.
I do as well, and I am curious to see how many shorts we're going to get out of this one, because sometimes it's a few and sometimes they deem many, and so I'm kind of curious, because this is one of the, I'll say, few readings or channeling sessions we did where it felt like everything on both sides was in the positive, that that there was like no point where we were like, hey, you need to do this, come on, like kind of pulling to say, get out of this mode, you need to be here. And so to me, I was like pleasantly surprised and was like, wow, and didn't even realize how fast the time went.
Yeah, very little resistance and just very flowing. And, there was a mention of the cabal here and there, and it's from within to without reflection. However, that's up to us to change that. So,
Right. And the mentioning of them wasn't like, oh, they're doing this or that. It was more like, just how do we work around? And it's like, yeah, we don't need to bring energy to them. Don't need to address them. Let's just acknowledge and say, yeah, they're over there. We're going to go here, kind of
yep,
way.
that's true. Where you focus your energy, I often see is like a fire hose. You want to spray the fire hose here, or do you want to spray it there? It's up to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this and for sharing your gifts with us. And I am excited to see, what comes of this episode, but I have to say, look forward to each one, every 2 weeks, and going, oh good, it's, channeling week, so who's going to come, and what are we going to hear and where are we going to go? And it's exciting to me, and I look forward to it.
Likewise. And I love how we do it spontaneous and nothing is scripted. So what we get is what we get. And that makes it even better. So thank you, Michael. And I'm happy to come back 2 more weeks.
Yes. It will be, what is the next date? Is August 4th.
Okay.
Wow, we're going to be in August now.
Yep. I will be here.
All right. Well, blessings to you and to everyone around you, and have a wonderful rest of the week. And we will see everyone in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye for now.